Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to talk about the March 2024 predictions for all zodiac signs. So these predictions are based on Vedic astrology, and it's important to look at the transits primarily from the moon. I've also made videos for the yearly 2024 predictions for each zodiac sign as well, so be sure to check those out too. So the key transits happening in March are: on the 7th of March, Mercury will transit into Pisces. Also on the 7th of March, Venus will transit into Aquarius. On the 14th of March, Sun will transit Pisces. On the 15th of March, Mars will transit into Aquarius. On the 26th of March, Mercury will transit into Aries. And also on the 26th of March, there will be a lunar eclipse, where Moon will be conjunct with Ketu. On the 31st of March, Venus will transit Pisces. So I will now go through the predictions for each zodiac sign. For Aries natives, Mars is the lord of your chart and will continue its transit in your 10th house at the start of the month. So Mars is exalted here with the second lord Venus, so this is a great period for career. When the second lord is in the 10th house, it means that you can have a strong sense of self-belief and inner strength to get through any challenges to find success. However, even though Mars is exalted, it can still give some delays and frustrations in your life, because it is in Capricorn, which is Saturn's sign, and therefore you are required to show discipline and dedication, and you can then get the results you desire. So the month of February and the first 2 weeks of March, if you are experiencing any delays or setbacks, you have to show patience and perseverance. Mars will be transiting in Shravana Nakshatra for the first week of March. And this nakshatra is rather passive, but has great intellectual capabilities. So a person can show good strategy and willpower to withstand any obstacles for the sake of moving towards their goals. In other areas of life, for example relationship, Mars in the 10th house means that you may be experiencing intense emotions in your relationship, and you'll be trying to keep everything on lock and under control. This can also mean that you can experience a strong drive to build a stable home together with your partner, or even purchase a property, especially while Mars is in Shravana Nakshatra, which is ruled by the moon. Venus is ruling your second house, which represents wealth. So when it transits the 10th house, it is an excellent month for the growth in your finances, be it from service or self-employment. This is because the 10th house is the highest point in the sky, which represents success and achievement. After 14th of March, Mars will move into your 11th house and will be transiting in Aquarius in conjunction with Saturn and Venus. So this will continue to be good for your finances, and you'll be very much focused on increasing your wealth through innovative methods. However, Sun and Rahu will be conjunct in the 12th house and will cause an eclipse in April, and Mercury is also debilitated in the 12th house. So after 14th of March, till the time both Sun and Mercury are in your 12th house, it is not a good time to start anything major, make decisions, or make any large purchases. This is also a time your communication may not be as crisp or clear, so you should avoid signing any major contracts. For Aries natives, you will have 6 planetary energies across the 11th and 12th houses. So both of these houses represent humanitarianism, giving and compassion. So this can be a powerful time where you may temporarily retreat from having fun and think about life's deeper questions. This is also a time you can offer help to other people. And if you're working in an area of reform, helping communities, or advocacy, this can also be a powerful time. For Taurus natives, Venus, the lord of your chart, will be transiting your 9th house for the first week of the month, which means it's a time to continue planning for your future. Capricorn sitting in the 9th house is about expanding your life in a disciplined and practical manner. This can mean a time for traveling, moving, studying, but also experiencing psychological growth. The ninth house deals with things that come after significant life transformations. And whenever people go through life transformations, there is normally a growth in the mindset. So during this time, you can experience this. After the 7th of March, Venus will move into your 10th house. So the 10th house is the highest, most visible point in the sky. So when the Lord of the chart Venus transits here, it's a time where your visibility can increase in your career. So for example, this can mean you can attract public attention if you have a high profile job. This can mean your visibility at your workplace can increase. You can be in the limelight at your workplace, and some people may be able to get a promotion. Venus's transit here can also make you very busy in your workplace, where you can have lots of meetings, where decision makers in your work require your help and assistance. So during this time, you can be very invested in your career. Venus will also be conjunct with Saturn and Mars. And with Saturn in this house, it has probably kept you rather busy in your workplace, or you may have experienced some setbacks in growing your career. Aquarius is a very future-orientated sign. So Venus, Saturn, Mars conjunction here means that you can do some planning for your next steps in your career. Mars can break any existing structures which are holding you back in your career. So what this means is that you can have a new plan of action, a new direction related to your professional life. Venus's transit in the 7th house can mean that your finances can be a focal point during this time too. So it could mean tremendous growth in your finances, or it can mean taking important decisions in financial matters. When Rahu is transiting the 11th house of Pisces, it's excellent for the flow of money, because in Pisces there are no boundaries. It's just an endless ocean, which can signify multiple sources of income if your natal chart is supportive. When Saturn is in the 10th house and aspecting the 7th house, it means that relationships can lose its groove and affection. And it can mean that you are not getting the happiness that you want. So Venus and Mars' transit here can ignite some passion back into any connection. With Mars and Venus here, you can also form connections with people from work if you are single. Having 6 planets across your 10th and 11th house shows that you will pretty much be thinking towards the future. You will think about your place in society, making sure that you fit into the top level of hierarchical structure and making your contributions to the world. This means economically, professionally, socially, being at the top of the pyramid. So these thoughts can be on your mind during this period. Sun and Rahu in conjunction in the 11th house will cause a solar eclipse in April. But in the month of March, while these two energies are transiting towards each other, this is not a good period for your mother or things related to the 4th house, such as domestic comforts. You also have to watch out for your own health, such as your heart, chest and lungs, and overall body vitality, especially if you are going through the dasha of Sun or if your 4th lord is weak. For Gemini natives, Mercury is the lord of your chart and will continue its transit in your 9th house for the first week of the month. Mercury is a planet of thinking and decision making, which means that you will take a larger view of life, and you'll be thinking very much about the future with a modified belief system. With Saturn in the 9th house, your belief system is already being challenged, so this can be a time where you may have to be progressive and more respectful of the circumstances that are happening around you or in your life. Here, the first lord is in the 9th house, which means that it can also be a time for journeys, exploration, a time to seek higher learning and knowledge. Mercury in Aquarius is a very intelligent sign, making the first week of March very good for studying, sitting exams, and overall thinking. One negative is Sun and Saturn will be conjunct together in the 9th house. So during this time, you can have disagreements with leaders in your work or with senior people. You won't be able to add much input or have your say in your work. You'll be told what to do, which you may not appreciate. Venus and Mars will be in your 8th house during the first few weeks of the month. So this can indicate an extremely cautious approach to joint financial matters, where you can be involved with planning for the future, which can include drawing up wills and financial agreements. After the 7th of March, Mercury will shift into your 10th house and will be in its debilitation sign of Pisces. So this is a time where your emotions can run high, where you can have some worries or concerns, especially in work-related matters, health, and domestic environment. When Mercury is debilitated, it can have difficulty processing information, picking up the appropriate details, making decisions, and difficulty in expressing themselves, especially if Mercury is weak in your natal chart. So any important communication or contracts you have to sign, you should get someone to double check any details for you. This can also be a time of deep thinking and contemplating over your career, status, and responsibilities. So if you're working in a Pisces type of career, which can involve creativity, in healthcare, or anything to do with writing, this can be a beneficial time for your career, especially with Sun and Rahu also transiting this house. You can find success and recognition. Sun and Rahu here can also cause a fall in your career or a change in your career, where you can do something totally different to what you have done in the past, or you can move away from your hometown and you can take up a career somewhere else. Or this can mean finding an additional side job, because Pisces is a sign which is represented by a fish swimming in two different directions, representing duality. For Cancer natives, in astrology, the 2nd house is just as important as the 1st house, because it is the foundation and resources that support the 1st house. So for example, money and food is represented by the 2nd house, which obviously supports the 1st house, which is the body and general approach to life. Sun is ruling your 2nd house, and it will be conjunct with Saturn in your 8th house for the first few weeks of the month. So the start of the month suggests that there can be some restrictions in your personal finances, or where you may not have control of your finances and assets, or a time where you may need to do financial planning. Venus, the significator of wealth, is in Capricorn, so this is a time to think about your financial stability. The 8th house deals with merging power and control. So here a person is pushed to develop the ability to share power and control so that they can establish a balanced life. So therefore, Sun and Saturn conjunction in this house can make it difficult for you to have things your own way. The 2nd house represents values. So when Sun is in the 8th house, you're trying to merge your values with your partner or your in-laws, and it can be difficult for that to happen if you are in a newly formed relationship or marriage. The Sun is an energy that likes control, so in some ways it does not feel comfortable here. So its natural qualities of strong identity and high self-esteem and self-worth can be difficult to manifest here. Now the Sun's hot energy can make Saturn combust, making it lose a little bit of its structure and discipline. So things in your relationship and professional life can go off track a little bit. That doesn't necessarily mean negative results. Saturn is a slow planet, and when it becomes combust, it can feel agitated, and this heat can cause things in a person's life to speed up. Just like how sometimes in life people are laboring or procrastinating. So the sun can bring energy to get things moving along. And sometimes this can happen through bringing a difficult event. So if you are going through any circumstances to do with your career, contracts, partnerships, or even delays in restoring health, you can expect some activity in these areas. Sun will move into your 9th house and will be conjunct with Rahu, and there will also be a formation of a solar eclipse in April. The house which Rahu is transiting is where a lot of your thinking, energy and attention can be concentrated for 18 months. So when Sun and Rahu are together, it means that you will be on a quest to explore new cultures, new belief systems, and deepen your understanding of the universe. This transit and eclipse generally can have a subtle impact on a person for the next 6 months, where a person's personality, behavior, and outlook can slightly change. The Lord of your chart Moon will also be conjunct with Ketu on the 26th of March, which will cause a lunar eclipse. While the Sun-Rahu conjunction is about growing as a person, Moon-Ketu conjunction in the 3rd house is a period of emotional release and letting go of past patterns. Emotions, regrets, fears can stop a person moving forward in their life. So this is a powerful month to let go and progress onwards. There will be 6 planets across your 8th and 9th house this month, which shows a really dynamic period where there can be changes in your life, either changes in your thinking or physical changes. So it's a month where you can rediscover yourself. For Leo natives, Sun is the Lord of your chart and will continue its transit in your 7th house for the first half of the month. Sun will be shining its light on your one-to-one relationships, and because it will be conjunct with Saturn, these few weeks there can be frustration with your partner, relationships, over any contracts that you have signed, and generally with any other people, including your work colleagues. The 7th house is Sun's natural debilitation position, because your ego and identity is being controlled by other people, so a person loses their individuality. When Saturn is within certain degrees of the Sun, it becomes combust, and here the foundation or structure of any relationship can be disturbed, and it's a time where any boundaries may not be respected. For career, since the 7th house is 10th from the 10th, the Sun-Saturn conjunction can enhance your career, because Sun can really energize Saturn with its heat, causing activity, which can mean giving you a push to start applying for other jobs, giving you a promotion or recognition, or overall bringing some attention to you that you need to move forward in your professional life. This is a month your confidence can also be a little bit low. With Ketu in the 2nd house, it means that you may be losing a little bit of your self-worth through minor health issues, difficulty at work, or through partnerships. This combination of Ketu in the 2nd house, Saturn aspecting your 1st house, can make you feel fatigued, and you can have a lack of enthusiasm too. After the 14th of March, Sun will move into your 8th house and will be conjunct with Rahu, and there will be a formation of a solar eclipse in April. Now, because this is happening in a water sign, you can go through a psychological transformation to align your identity with your purpose for the year. This can mean you will experience strong, powerful emotions, and there can be a shift in your thought and behavioral patterns. Sun is also ruling your 1st house, which represents the self, and when it is transiting the 8th house, it can mean minor or major life changes, which could mean additions to the family, marriage, sudden financial gain, health issues, major changes in your thinking, values and beliefs. Venus and Mars will be in your 7th house alongside Saturn. So the second half of the month is better for relationships because Venus is a bringer of peace, promoting harmony and being diplomatic and fair. Having 6 planets transiting across your 7th and 8th house means that the focus is on other people, relationships, spouse, contracts, and the resources which make up your relationship. So for example, money, values, and responsibilities. If you are not in a relationship, then this can be a time you may think about what you want from a partner. For Virgo natives, Mercury will continue its transit in your 6th house for the first week of March and will be conjunct with Sun and Saturn, which is a good placement to find new ways in organizing your work activities, health concerns, and any other obstacles presently in your life. This combination can make a person obsess over their job. It can make a person a workaholic, and you'll be trying to have greater control over your work matters. You will continue to prioritize work in order to enhance your reputation and status. Sun is ruling your 12th house, and when it is transiting the 6th house, it means that you may have to deal with things from the past, hidden enemies, tasks or jobs which you thought were done and dusted can pop up again and require your attention. So the transit in the 6th house of a planet, which is ruling the 12th house, can feel similar to a retrograde planet transit. Sun ruling the 12th house can also show losses and isolation. So for example, it can show curing of health issues, visiting medical centers, removal of hurdles, change of job, and also working in isolation. Saturn is also in this house, and for a short period will be combust, which can cause it to become agitated, therefore causing increased activity in work-related matters. Saturn here is being forced to accelerate things, so this is a good time to progress any work-related matters. Third Lord Mars in the 5th house conjunct with Venus is an excellent time for business, to start a business or expand a business, and with the 9th Lord Venus, it can be a lucky time too. This combination can also bring romance, increase leisure activity, and fun into your life. And with Rahu in the 7th house, it's a good period to form connections. Saturn ruling the 5th house means that there can be increased activity in relation to children. Jupiter is also in a demanding house, so your children may require more attention and responsibility during this time. After the 7th of March, Mercury will move into your 7th house in the sign of Pisces, which is Mercury's debilitation sign. Here you can have deep conversations with your partner. There can be infusion of affection, love, and generosity, so there will be activity in this area. Mercury debilitated in the 7th house is actually good for relationships because it is a very romantic sign, where Venus, the natural ruler of the 7th house, is exalted. However, Mercury debilitated in the 7th house is not good for practical matters. So if you are in a relationship and you are trying to discuss realistic relationship issues, it can be a struggle. This is also not an ideal time to sign contracts or make any major life decisions. Now Sun will also come into the mix in the 7th house, and when it conjuncts with Rahu, there is a solar eclipse that will happen in April. This conjunction will cause some changes in your behavior in how you deal with your spouse. This can show extramarital affairs, fixation on a person who is not your partner. Rahu in this house is chasing comfort and romance and wants something that may be off limits. Now because Ketu is in your 1st house, you are already self-sacrificing your character and identity. So with this eclipse, you can be more subservient to other people, including your spouse. For Libra natives, Venus, the lord of your chart, will continue its transit in your 4th house in Capricorn. Capricorn is a very serious and mature sign because it is ruled by Saturn, and matters in your life can be moving rather slowly during the first few weeks of the month. This will be a time where you can be very focused and goal orientated, especially on money matters, property, and home life responsibilities. Venus and Mars together means that the first house lord and the seventh house lord are conjunct. And because that is happening in the fourth house, which represents the subconscious mind, it means that there are contract matters, relationship matters, which will be at the forefront of your mind. Jupiter in Bharani Nakshatra is all about changes happening in relationships. It is about change that can bring stability and eventually happiness in your personal life. Sun and Saturn will also be conjunct in the fifth house. So when Saturn is combust, it means that the structure and foundation that it has built can be disturbed. Now this isn't a bad thing because Saturn can be a very slow planet. So when the Sun is making it combust, it is giving Saturn a jolt or a push to get moving. Therefore, in some areas of life, such as relationships, it's time to move forward. In terms of work, it's time to make your presence felt. It's time for recognition. It can be a time to change jobs. However, in terms of investing money, this is not a good time because there are some areas of life which require more thought and cautious action. After mid-month, both Mars and Venus will move into your fifth house in the sign of Aquarius. This will be a much better period for fun, entertainment, connecting with people, and finding a prospective partner. Activities related to romance, creative self-expression are strongly favored during this time too. This can make your creativity soar to new heights if you are involved with content creating or design work. This can be a better time with children too, because Venus promotes balance and harmonious relationships. This is a great time for any new beginning in your life. Starting a new business, investments, new hobbies. So you should make the most of this short period. Venus in the fifth house with Saturn can make you change your perspective in terms of your career. Your professional goals or views on your career can change. Sun will also be conjunct with Rahu in the sixth house, and this will cause an eclipse in April. The house where Rahu is transiting, it is where your purpose is for the next 18 months. So many of you will find yourselves trying to overcome obstacles such as health issues, litigation, and some of you will also become driven in your career. So when Sun is here, it means that your identity and purpose is aligning for the year, which means in this case, you will take the necessary steps to find comfort in your day-to-day life, become more career-driven in terms of providing service and growing your income. For Scorpio natives, Mars, which is the lord of your chart, will continue its transit in your third house, which means that you will have a good sense of purpose and direction, as well as a realistic approach towards your goals. The first few weeks of the month is a great time to start a new business, or to be engaged in a new hobby or interest. Mars being in a pragmatic sign like Capricorn gives a really good planning ability, and a person can be very realistic but also passionate because Mars will be conjunct with Venus. Rahu and Jupiter are also in supportive positions for business or employment, especially anything related to art, design, and writing. Mars and Venus in the third house can give you business and property related expenses. Either you can spend money to expand your business, or you may spend money on household things, or even a new property or moving costs is possible in March. Mars in the third house can increase mental activity, so there can be a lot going on in your mind, and Venus, the lord of your seventh house, means that the first lord and the seventh lord are conjunct in the third house. So if you have a partner or a spouse, there will be important decisions and choices to make to deal with immediate things in your day-to-day aspects of life. Mars in the third house is a test of your mental and physical fitness. This transit can make you very busy in your work, where you are exerting a lot of physical activity or mental labour, especially since Jupiter is in the 6th house. So you would have been rather busy in your work so far this year. After the 15th of March, Mars will transit into your 4th house, and it will be there with both Saturn and Venus. So here Venus feels pretty comfortable, but Mars does not feel that comfortable at all. And Saturn is in its own house. So in some areas this transit will be okay. But Mars here can feel a little bit trapped, which can result in strong emotions being felt and cause a person to be short-tempered. Saturn and Mars conjunct together can represent frustration, because Saturn is a slow-moving planet and Mars wants to get things moving. So generally things in your life may not flow as per your wishes during this time. There can be delays or situations which can cause you inconvenience. This could be property-related matters or disagreements with your spouse or partner. So while Mars and Saturn are together in the 4th house, Sun and Rahu will also be transiting towards each other in the 5th house, which will cause an eclipse in April. So when these two energies are in the same house, it means that your purpose for the year and identity are aligning, which naturally gives you a boost, especially in the 5th house as it is Sun's natural house. So this can ignite the fires of creativity, passion and self-creation. This is a time a person can follow their heart's desire. For Sagittarius natives, Jupiter will continue its transit in your 5th house in Bharani Nakshatra. So as I mentioned in the February video, Jupiter in Bharani is about building stability and having clear and achievable goals to work towards. In Bharani, things do not come easy. You have to put in a lot of effort and also struggle a little bit because Saturn is also aspecting Jupiter. Mars and Venus, which are your 5th and 11th house lords, are conjunct together in the 2nd house. And this is a time you can be more responsible in financial matters. It's a good time to earn through speculative gains and also a good time to save money. There can be an increase in the drive for material success with this transit. Having Mars and Venus conjunct in the 2nd house will bring more passion and a stronger self-belief that you can succeed in whatever you want to do. Mars is a natural ruler of Aries and the 1st house, and therefore can represent new beginnings. And when it is conjunct with Venus, this can suggest new love interests can also be formed, or a time you could spend money on things you really love. Mars and Venus are also ruling your 6th and 12th houses, which are Dusthana houses. So when these two planets are in the 2nd house, it can also show a difficult time with your immediate family, and also a time you may not agree with certain values of your family. Sun and Saturn conjunction in the 3rd house can also show a difficult time with bosses. This is a time your bosses can highlight your responsibilities and those which you need to do better in order to progress in your career. If your career is going well, then this transit can also show elevation in your professional life. This conjunction can also increase the mental activity, and you can feel some anxiety regarding choices and decisions you have to make regarding relationships, career, and family. After the 14th of March, Sun will move into your 4th house and will be conjunct with Rahu, which will cause an eclipse in April. In March, Sun and Rahu will be moving towards each other, which will modify your thought process, your identity, and behavior. Since the Gendra houses form a big part of a person's personality, every time there is major activity in these houses, it can have a big impact on a person. The house which Rahu is transiting shows a purpose and attention for the next 18 months. So when Sun transits with Rahu, it means that your purpose and identity are aligning, which will help you, and in your case, help you find happiness that you desire. The fourth house also represents nourishment and conditioning. So when Rahu is in this house, it can mean that you have a desire to be loved. And if your moon is weak in your natal chart, this eclipse will break down any conditioning you were brought up with and change your thinking and identity. Since there will be 6 planets across your 3rd and 4th houses this month, and Jupiter is in your 5th house, this shows that there will be an enormous amount of mental activity and intense emotions. You will be reprocessing information, especially with Mercury going retrograde in early April. The 10th house represents the highest point in the sky, while the 4th house represents the bottom of the ground, the deepest emotional core, and it can also be a hidden place away from public life. So here, the Sun will help you take control of your subconscious mind, and in the sign of Pisces, you might embrace the beauty of uncertainty, taking more risks and adopt empowering beliefs. In other words, with Rahu in this house, it means that some of you can go against values that you were conditioned or brought up with in order to find happiness. For Capricorn natives, Saturn will continue its transit in Shatabisha Nakshatra in your 2nd house. So Saturn is not considered positive in relation to family matters in this house. However, for building assets and finances, the 2nd house placement is positive. So firstly, in terms of finances, when Venus and the 11th Lord Mars are conjunct together in the 1st house, it's a good time for money to come into your life. So for example, there can be new or increase in income sources, cashing in investments, dividend income, or if you run a business, there can be an increase in revenue. Sun and Saturn conjunction in the 2nd house is good for career elevation, and this can also show a promotion or changing jobs. The Sun is a planet of attaining success, and along with it comes prosperity. So here, when Sun transits the 2nd house, it can be a time you will show more ambition in growing your finances, but you may look at innovative or unorthodox ways to grow your assets. In terms of family, the Sun and Saturn here are not that good for domestic matters. You may already be having a challenging time in your home environment, and Sun here will add more fuel to the fire. Sun is ruling your 8th house, remember, so there could be some sort of changes in your relationship, in your family, that may be difficult to deal with this month. Saturn in Shatabisha Nakshatra, which is Rahu's Nakshatra, means that it can be a time you can be separated from your family. So if you're having domestic issues, you can find yourself on your own, especially with Jupiter in the 4th house. Now, if you don't get separated, then Saturn in Shatabisha is about creating some boundaries to make your domestic life easier. Shatabisha also represents healing. So this is a time you can go through physical, mental, or emotional treatment to aid you in getting through any issues. After the 14th of March, Sun will move into your 3rd house and will be conjunct with Rahu, which will cause an eclipse in April. Sun and Rahu will be transiting towards each other, which again shows some major changes in your life. This is a time your mind will be busy, where you will have to make some important decisions. A time where you will have to process what you have done in the past and make choices for the future. Sun and Rahu in this house is not good for domestic matters or anything related to the 4th house. However, Sun and Rahu in the 3rd house is good for existing or new businesses. So if you are thinking about starting something new or taking up a new hobby, this can happen at some point in the 30 days Sun transits this house. With Jupiter in your 4th house and Sun and Rahu conjunct in Pisces, you can also be thinking about the past memories, past actions, and they can be at the forefront of your mind, and you'll be thinking about how you can let them go and move forward in your life. For Aquarius natives, at the start of the month there will be 3 planets, Saturn, Sun and Mercury, transiting your first house, which generally means that there can be a lot going on in your life this month. Since the Sun is ruling your 7th house and Mercury is ruling your 5th house, other people including your spouse or children can be influencing your actions and decisions, which can make you feel a little bit irritated. Or your actions or responsibilities will have an impact on them too during the first half of the month, so you might struggle to have things completely your own way. Because Saturn is also ruling your 12th house, when it transits the first house, it means that you will have to take responsibilities of things from the past. And the Sun is turning on the spotlight to show action is now required. So it is not always new beginnings in your case, but returning to things from the past is possible this month. Venus and Mars transiting your 12th house of Capricorn also shows that you can be using a lot of your energy, money to deal with things from the past, and this can also involve having to travel, for example, back to your home country. After the 14th of March, Sun will move into your 2nd house and will be conjunct with Rahu, which will cause an eclipse in April. However, in the month of March, both of these energies will be moving towards each other, which can cause mixed results. Firstly, this can help you identify ways to enhance your personal finances or assets, and your partner can play an important role to help you with that. What can also happen is Rahu can block the energy of the Sun, so you may be forced to rethink your behavior with money, your values, and you can struggle to take control of your own finances, where you may have to spend money for the sake of your relationship or marriage. Mars and Venus will also be in your 1st house with Saturn, which again shows there's a lot going on in your life. The conjunction isn't always good because Mars and Saturn have different approaches, but in the 1st house, they both have determination and persistence, so you will be able to fulfill what you need to do. With 6 planetary energies across your 1st and 2nd houses this month, during the 2nd half of the month, overall, this can be a time where you will have to be fully switched on. You will have to bring your full presence to every occasion. Your activities of focus can change from one day to the next, and you will have to use all your resources and expertise to get the result you want. So for example, your work and personal life can be very busy this month, and in order to progress your personal life, you may also have high expenditure. For Pisces natives, at the start of the month there will be 3 planets transiting your 12th house, Sun, Saturn and Mercury, and none of these planets really feel that comfortable in this house, but that doesn't mean you can't get any good results. Planets in the 12th house are supportive for those who are working in creativity and design, because it represents a person's inner world and imaginative abilities. And with Saturn in this house, it brings practical idealism to a person's mind, where they will try to make their dreams, ideas and thoughts a reality. This is also supported by Rahu in the 1st house. So whatever you desire this year, you'll try your best to make it happen. Whether you will succeed depends on your natal chart, but Rahu in the 1st house is good for helping a person fulfill their desires. However, this is only for an 18-month period, so you have to ensure you have the practical solutions after this transit is over. With Jupiter currently in the 2nd house, you will feel optimistic, but because it is in Bharani Nakshatra, things can feel like hard work, so it's important to stay committed. Mercury, which is a planet of communicating, thinking and decision making, when it transits the 12th house, your thinking capacity will broaden and elevate. And there will be lots of things in your mind, and again with Saturn here, it's about bringing these thoughts and ideas to reality using innovative methods. Now Sun is ruling your 6th house, and when it is in the 12th house, you will either change your job, or you could be working in a remote location, or you could be working in solitude. This is also a time obstacles or difficult people you are working with can leave your life. So if you have co-workers that you don't like, this could be a time they might go away. After the 14th of March, Sun will transit into your first house alongside Rahu, which will form an eclipse in April. Rahu and Sun will be transiting towards each other, and the house where Rahu is transiting is the purpose for the 18 months, and Sun represents identity. So your purpose and identity will be aligning, which will give you a boost for personal growth in your life. This conjunction can give you a push to embark on a journey of self-discovery. There can be some minor or major changes in your behavior where you can assert your individuality, cultivate self-confidence, and really become a dynamic person. Even if your sun is weak in your natal chart, when it is influenced by Rahu, depending on the degrees, a person can experience a sudden increase in self-confidence. Mars and Venus will be in your 12th house, and Venus represents money, and Mars is ruling your 2nd house and 9th house. Therefore, the second half of the month, there can be high expenditure. This is a time you could spend on education, higher learning, or if you are in a foreign country, you might spend money extending your visa or applying for a new visa. This is a time you can also spend money to expand your life and beliefs, or you can modify some of your belief system. So if you have any beliefs which are limiting your life, you might let them go. So along with Sun and Rahu conjunction in the first house, modification of your personality is definitely possible during the months of March and April. When Rahu is in the first house and Saturn is in the 12th house, health is something you do need to take care of the whole year, especially during this eclipse time. Sun is ruling your 6th house, and it will transit your 1st house. So this is a time you can get diagnosed with minor diseases or health issues. And with the 8th Lord Venus in the 12th house, surgery is possible this month. So the months of March and April, you do have to take care. When the Sun transits the 1st house, it is shining its light on your body, so it requires some sort of attention. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below, or you can email me at exaltedmercury8@gmail.com, and I will see you next time. Thank you.